Welcome to King Lizard's Game Lounge and my review of Gravel on Xbox One. Gravel at its heart is an arcade racing game. It comes with over 50 circuits out of the box and 46 vehicles to drive, all of which are associated with off-roading. They're a mixture of rally cars, trophy trucks, off-road 4x4s, and the whole emphasis of this game is arcade racing fun. Gravel offers a good level of game modes. First off, you have the Off-Road Masters, which is the game's arcade racing campaign. You have a free race mode where you can choose any circuit and any vehicle that you've unlocked to actually practice or hone your skills. There's an Xbox Live mode where you can play against other players online in multiplayer. There's a time attack mode where again you can try and compete against the community and set leaderboard times. And then finally you have weekly challenges. So every week there are new challenges which involve driving a particular vehicle around a particular circuit so that you can see where you place worldwide against the gaming competition. Gravel offers a good selection of real-world trucks and cars for racing around its various circuits, with the likes of the Mini Countryman RX, the Mitsubishi Evolutions, Subaru WRX STIs, Land Cruisers, F-150s, you name it. Stable diet of off-road racing is in here, and there's actually some more obscure vehicles that you don't normally see in other games as well. The handling on all of these vehicles is excellent. It really is one of the best handling systems I've played on any arcade racing game. There are lots of very technical sections in these circuits, and I was finding it extremely easy and fun to drift around corners, to launch myself over big air jumps and stuff. It was just amazing fun, and you can feel every lump and bump in the road, giving you the ultimate experience in terms of feedback into the vehicle. It helps you anticipate how the vehicle is going to behave in the long run. The handling system in this game is by far its strongest attribute. Gravel does have some basic level of driving configurations that you can make, so you can set up things like the level of traction control you want, the level of stability management you want for the vehicle, in order to kind of find your best driving style or setup, if you like. On top of that, you can actually configure the car's suspension and various other things. It's not something I've really found the need to play with at this point. Obviously doing so would probably improve times and various vehicle behaviors, but it's not something I've messed with, but it's there if you want to play with it, which is a really nice feature. Graphically, Gravel is a bit of a mixed bag. I find that this game for me kind of sits somewhere between last gen and this gen in terms of consoles. It by far looked its best inside the vehicle when I was driving with the steering wheel. I found that when I went into chase mode, sometimes looking at the rear of the vehicles just looked that little bit blurry, and I don't know whether it's due to the lighting that the developers chosen to use on a particular level, or maybe the color saturation, but it just looks a bit odd sometimes. There are some drawing issues. Some issues kind of show up closer to the vehicle, some of them show up a little bit further away, but to be honest, nothing too much to ruin the arcade experience that is Gravel. From a sound perspective, I really did like the sounds in this game. Most of the vehicles do sound quite different. The tyre screeches that you get when you're going around a speed cross circuit sound pretty cool. The rain hitting the top of the vehicle, probably one of the best sounds I've heard from a rain perspective in a vehicle for quite some time. It sounded quite impressive, and although they're not, again, groundbreaking, they are actually quite good and they fit the game well. In-game music's quite a basic affair, nothing particularly going to blow your mind here. You might want to stick on your own audio when you're playing this game, if you like music when you're playing. I didn't find it particularly that interesting, the music. I wouldn't say it was bad, but at the same time, it wasn't anything I wanted to go back and listen to, that's for sure. Gravel has a really extensive campaign offering a variety of different modes. You have time attacks, which are obviously races against the clock, whereby you have to break a specific time in order to unlock all of the objective stars to help you unlock the next levels in the game's episode-based campaign. So basically your progression in the campaign is controlled by completing objectives in each of the race episodes. The more stars you unlock, the more of the campaign you get to play. The variety of racing includes generic lap racing against the AI, where you're driving around a circuit and typically doing around 3 laps a race. My favourite race type was definitely the cross-country race, which was a progressive race, point A to B, where you race against AI in order to get to the finish line across normally around about 6 to 8 kilometers of circuit, which were typically very technical and really fun to drive. There are also time attack based modes. You've got the generic time attack, which is you against the clock and the AI. You've also got something called a smash up. Now, a smash up is a variation of time attack, which includes you having to hit billboards with green arrows on. Basically, the billboard spins, and as it settles, it'll settle on either a green arrow or a red X. You have to hit the green arrow to maintain speed. If you hit the red X, it's going to slow you down and possibly put you off course. So it probably was my least favorite mode in the game, because sometimes it was pretty hard to predict what was going to happen, and you had to make last minute decisions in your driving. By far for me, the game's strongest mode was its cross-country mode. That was just immense fun. I felt that the mix of race and time attacks was a bit misbalanced. The races were probably about 60% of the career mode, whereas the time attacks were probably a good 30 to 35% of the game mode, with obviously boss modes where you're racing head to head against boss mode AI. You do actually have to complete in a final boss race, which is every single boss from the game, so 5 other bosses all racing at the same time in a variety of different disciplines. Multiplayer is not working very well. Around about 40% of the time I'm successful at getting into matches. The other 60% of the time I get errors about Xbox Live, or the game just goes into limbo for a period of time before eventually failing. It's not fixed as of a good month and a half into this game. Hopefully there's going to be a patch out soon that will fix that, because when I did get online, what was there was actually quite fun and enjoyable to play. One of the features that I did like was that if there's only 2 players online, the game will actually fill up the rest of the playing field with AI. I did see some bugs whilst playing this campaign. One of the bugs that is very much still there, although it is very sporadic, is that the game will freeze at times. So you'll be literally driving along at full speed and then everything will stop, and it will look like the game's hung, but it hasn't. If you give it a few seconds, it will kick back into life. Not a game-breaking feature, a little frustrating, but it doesn't ruin the experience overall, because it doesn't happen that often. The other bug that I saw was that once I completed the campaign, I was unable to re-race the campaign, because whenever I loaded into a track, I got a driver but no vehicle and no boundaries in the game world. I typically would land up falling through the game world and hence unable to race or complete the campaign. As of yesterday, that seems to have been fixed. Possibly there was a patch yesterday that happened in the background when I wasn't looking. The other bug I saw was the same type of issue where the car fell through the track, and that was in multiplayer. I clipped a tyre barrier and the car literally fell through the floor and just kept falling forever. I mean, it was great in terms of giving me XP, because I had a ton of XP at the end of the race, but I couldn't actually compete, so a little frustrating. The achievements and trophies in Gravel are progressive and by no means unreachable. The majority of these achievements, or at least 95% of them, will come to you quite easily simply by playing the game. The larger achievements in the game are focused around unlocking all of the vehicles, unlocking all of the liveries for each of the vehicles, and unlocking all of the tracks, which you'll basically do as you level up through your gameplay. In conclusion, Gravel is very good as an arcade racing game. Its handling model is extremely strong. It has a very good selection of tracks, both real and imaginary, and also has a good selection of vehicles and vehicle classes. My biggest gripe about this game are sometimes the graphics aren't quite up to scratch, although they don't impact your enjoyment of the game. It's just kind of something you notice as you play. And then my second major gripe is the fact that multiplayer just isn't working all the time right now. Had multiplayer been fully functional as the game stands, I would have given it an 8 out of 10, but given the fact that the multiplayer is partially broken and not working, but hopefully going to be fixed in the future, I reward Gravel on Xbox One, PS4 and PC a 7 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed the review. Please feel free to rate the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. Take care, keep well, keep watching, and most importantly, come back soon.